But the bottom line is, I can only hear Chief Renee Hall tell me so many times, hey, we're operating under Detroit standards. It's okay there. I don't live in Detroit. I live in Dallas, Texas. You know, Detroit standards don't mean anything to me. You know, today, she said, well, our response times have increased by a couple seconds. That's great, Chief. Besides that, you should understand that Houston's having the same kind of problem. Forgive me, I don't care about Houston. I live here. I care about my fellow man, but you're in Dallas, Chief. So when the chief comes out and says, hey, we're doing the job with what we have, Nick, is that true?
I want to make a point that the city largely today, obviously we're not getting the job done. Folks, fundamental to doing our jobs as police people in this country, fundamental to that is call answering. That's the most fundamental thing we do. Now, interestingly enough, Councilman Griggs and I communicate. She provided Griggs information that was it was heinous, absolute lies in terms of the response times. When he finally got some more accurate data, he released it. We respond to priority 2 calls, which are stabbings, assaults, major disturbances. We respond appropriately about 37% of the time. 37% of the time. And yet, Chief Hall's narrative is that we simply need to tweak the system in place. They continue to skirt the very real necessity to staff the department adequately. I know that, and I say this in public, that I don't know her. I have no animus for this woman, but she's a shill. She was hired to do the mayor's bidding through Broadnax's office. When she says we're going to staff appropriately, that's a very disingenuous statement when you say money and numbers are out of the conversation. Well, by golly, then how do you staff? If you don't have a market-driven wage, how do you pay? How do you attract applicants? Folks, I can't begin to emphasize without sounding dramatic. We're not at the precipice. The wheels have come off. I have hundreds of call sheets. The first entry reads, call expired, no elements available. To make that point, to drive it home, during the Cabell Street robbery, Chief Hall and Adam Madrano went on radio and said, folks, we had officers available, we simply miscoded that. Well, I went on radio on Mr. Roberts' show and said, at this moment, I believe it was 10:17 p.m., there's the entry, no officers available. So you're either lying or you're that misinformed. In any event, you have care, custody, control of the department. It's upon you to be accurate with the information you disseminate to the public. But let me go on record as telling you everything that comes out of downtown are simply lies, manufactured lies to just have the public buy into this need, this psychological need that you're listening to what you need to listen to. Everything is copacetic, you're okay. Well, you're not okay. These problems in Dallas were very synergistic. Every city dependent upon every city in the Metroplex, that they do their own policing. Should Dallas fail, and I submit to you today here, we have, every city in the Metroplex will be impacted by the lawlessness that's been allowed to entrench itself within the city limits of Dallas, Texas.